What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and I'm excited to announce the revival of Pro Team Comps Explained. This episode features a composition called Stampede, which focuses on the use of Sivir and her ultimate to create a variant of a pick comp, and has been played quite a bit in LCS recently. Let's get started. Now, this is a composition that excels at picking off opponents, while also being great at kiting and disengaging in case a teamfight would occur. Through the use of Sivir ult and other items such as Talisman of Ascension, it focuses on making the entire team mobile as a unit, and as such will absolutely crush immobile champions, and in general just be really good at picking people off. However, you can also use this team-wide mobility that the comp creates to do things such as kite, disengage, chase, or engage teamfights, and a whole lot more. The versatility allows you to lack quite a few weaknesses. It is ideally a type of pick comp, but is one of the most versatile compositions I have ever played, and that is where it truly shines. Now, the picks for this composition are so versatile, more than that of almost any other comp. There's just a few guidelines to follow which are not specific to any role on the team with the exception of the AD carry pick. Okay, so in general, you want to have 2 damage threats, 2 champions that can pick people off easily, and then at least 1 tank. I would usually put your second damage threat in mid lane, the pick champions on support and jungle, and then your tank in the top lane. You probably want to shy away from immobile champions and focus on being a fast, cohesive unit that can easily chase people down. Champions that run at the opponents perform really well too, since the movement speed as a team of this composition is massive. Now keep in mind, as I go through my favorite picks for each role, that those top picks are not set in stone, and as long as a pick follows the guidelines given, it should be just fine, with the exception of Sivir being the only option for your AD carry pick. And other than that, this comp really is so versatile when it comes to champion selection. I mean, there are honestly probably 70 or more champions that would do well in this composition, and I only list my top 3 for each role. In addition, a lot of these picks can be interchanged to other roles and such, so don't feel confined by my choices. For your jungler, you probably want to play someone who can pick people off really easily, by crossing a large distance to hit some devastating crowd control onto an opponent where the team can follow up. Champions I like for the jungler role would be Vi, Elise, and Lee Sin, who are great at isolating a target and melting them down with the help of the team, as well as traveling massive distances to create a pick. For your top laner, you probably want someone tanky who is good at maintaining CC from a target that is in the process of being picked. Their job should not really be to pick people, but to prevent people from getting away from a pick through crowd control and mobility to chase them down. For top laners, I like Dr. Mundo, Renekton, and Shyvana for their ability to not only chase, but shut down escape attempts via their mobility and crowd control when facing a single target, as well as their ability to kill tanks, allowing you to have an easier time picking off tanky targets. For mid lane, you want a bursty, high DPS mobile champion that will be a big part of the burst when trying to pick off opponents. Assuming you can't get Kassadin or Yasuo, since they really are just always banned, I really like LeBlanc, Gragas, and Zed in this comp, since they can dish out massive damage with high range to pick off a target while also being mobile, which is the key mechanic this comp revolves around. For your support pick, you want a champion that will help you create some picks by landing crowd control onto a target that can be easily followed up. I prefer Thresh, Annie, and Leona as picks for this composition, and make sure that you get an early Talisman of Ascension for the movement speed active that helps a ton in pretty much everything this comp tries to do, and the item is really amazing as it's an additional boost to Sivir's ultimate. Lastly, for your AD carry, you have to pick Sivir. Sivir is the champion that this composition is completely built around. Without Sivir, there is no Stampede comp. I recommend first picking her in champion select, or at least picking her as soon as possible, because if you can't get her, then this comp doesn't really work at all, since it revolves around the team-wide mobility that Sivir's ultimate creates. So unfortunately, there is no versatility for the AD carry pick, you just have to get Sivir. That's why trying to get her early is a good idea, so that you can switch to a different team composition if you can't get Sivir. I just want to put out another reminder here that these picks that I listed are not the best picks. With the exception of Sivir, any champions that fit the roles required can do just fine in this composition. The champions I listed are just my top 3 favorites for each role. Now for the bans, disengage does hurt this composition a lot, but the only champion that is played often that is ban worthy due to their disengage versus this composition is Thresh. And even then you can still kind of outplay him if you're experienced enough, since Sivir does very well against Thresh in lane. Other than that, you can just ban champions that you think are overpowered or that you don't want to play against. This composition can really outplay almost any other comp due to its mobility and versatility anyways, so you have quite a bit of options for your bans, and it's really just up to you. Now for playing this comp, in the laning phase, it's just kind of standard. There isn't much special when it comes to laning, so just do your best to survive and get out of it. Once you get into the mid game, that is where the power shows. Group up as 5 and use Sivir's ultimate, as well as any other mobility you may have, to create massive picks from a large distance. When a target is out of position, it will be easy to get to them using Sivir's ultimate, and the amount of distance you should be able to cover as a team with your mobility and ranges should be absolutely huge. When you see a target, you just have to pop the Sivir ult and other move speed bonuses you have, and then just go for it. It's key to act fast and not hesitate when creating picks, and that is how you have to use Sivir's ultimate. You need to be unpredictable, and that means using it quickly as soon as you get a chance. This comp excels at picking off targets, since the amount of distance you can cover when all of your abilities are used is absurd and often unexpected. And because of that, this comp excels at chasing too. And when it comes to team fights, you want to use your team-wide mobility to kite or disengage if it's not an optimal fight. In general, the team fights of this comp may be a little bit weak, since Sivir's damage compared to other AD carries can be a bit small if you lost your lane. So if your damage dealers are weak, it may be best to avoid team fights and disengage via your mobility instead of trying to kite. Scattered fights actually work quite well, since you can reposition yourself really easily because of your mobility. But if you did okay in lane or are in a decent spot in the game, or if you can set up really good positioning, you can play the fight as if you were a kite comp, and just use your movement speed buffs and crowd control to kite the opponents. Or if your opponents have poor positioning, you can use your mobility to engage a fight. This is pretty much like if it was a pick, but instead of chasing down one person, you chase down the entire opposing team. But this is only really a good idea when the opponent's positioning is poor, but if it is, you can likely catch out 1 or 2 people, or even just flank the entire team, essentially turning the teamfight into a pick that transitions into a chase. In general, just remember how mobile this composition is, and how versatile that makes you, but be careful when Sivir's ultimate is down, since that removes a major strength that you guys will have. Also, I love how this comp is actually playable in solo queue, since the activation of Sivir's ultimate is a very easy way to get people to initiate a fight. Because of this, Sivir is one of the few AD carries that you can actually start fights with, which is one of the problems for AD carries in solo queue. I find that people just really understand that Sivir's ultimate means it's time to go in and start a fight, and it makes it really easy to do just that too. Now for countering the Stampede comp, it's just about as simple as don't get caught. It's also about as complicated as don't get caught. I mean, it's easier said than done, of course, but getting caught is probably going to happen at least once or twice. Even the pros get caught in their games. It's just so easy to get caught out or to be forced into a bad spot. The best way to avoid this is through proper positioning. If you stay together with proper positioning and ward coverage, you can avoid surprises that this comp can put onto you. Realize that they can cover massive amounts of range, and avoid poking them down for little to no reason. Trying to poke often puts you close enough to get chased down and picked off, so it can be very risky, and should only be done when you have pressure on the opponents. Also, baiting a pick is a pretty good strategy versus this comp, since it's easy to fall for because this comp tries so hard to look for picks, and when they do, they commit hard. And definitely make sure to take advantage when Sivir's ultimate is down, since that is the main tool the comp uses for pretty much all of their strategies. But in general, the Stampede comp focuses on capitalizing on the opponent's mistakes with ease. And if you can limit your mistakes, it shouldn't be too hard to beat them just playing standard, since Sivir's teamfight damage is a little bit lacking, and if you can manage to outplay them in teamfights, it can be easy to shut them down. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for this episode of Pro Team Comps Explained. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. I'd love it if you could support me with a like, and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.